What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Halos. I'm your host today, Jared Timms, and I am joined alongside my co-host, my partners in crime, Brock Davis and Nate Green. Fellas, boys, how's it going? No, it's this. We're gonna
the chop.
We're chopping
The
now.
chop.
We're chopping. We're not saluting. Saluting was World
Team
Baseball
USA.
Classic.
How about
Team
this?
USA. Yeah.
You don't salute with your right though, or with your left, so it'd be.
Yeah, it'd be the other way. Yeah. How's it going, guys? Happy minor league opening day, except AAA, which is already.
I was gonna say AAA started already.
Nope. Still counts as minor league opening day to me.
Okay.
Don't argue it.
AAA started, but it's fine.
Nate, you're going to be wrong today. You're going to be wrong. I'm just going to start off that podcast, right? Start this
Hopefully.
podcast off of that right there. So, guys, as always, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Go ahead and follow us on all our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow myself on Twitter, Jared_Timms, Brock at BDROX8, and Nate at NateGreen34. Don't forget to check us out at talkinghalos.com. Supposedly, there will be some merch dropping in there pretty soon. Brock, you're going to get your face up there once Derek gets me all the logins, I promise. I've lost the logins, but I will get you on there, along with all our writers too. I should throw this out there too. Writers, any writers out there? You got a friend that's a writer, wants to get his name out there. Everybody's got to start somewhere. That's where I started. That's where Taylor started. That's where, speaking of Taylor, got a first question, man. We're gonna go straight forward. I know you love that one, Nate.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. That's where everybody started.
I thought we blocked that guy.
No, we didn't block him. We didn't block him.
It
But yeah, if we're looking for writers, go ahead and actually, you guys can go ahead and message myself, Jared_Timms on Twitter. Go ahead and do that. Love to get you guys writing a little bit, maybe on the podcast every once in a while. Got to get the guys that are writing right now. Diego doing a fantastic job. So if you guys
we need to get you to pick up your flag and put it right behind you, right behind your face.
Selfless plug for you as well. So we'll get there.
I don't even build them anymore.
It'll probably go right about there. So
hey, as long as you could see it.
All right. Let's get on. We got some fan mail coming our way. I love doing this. It's a lot of fun. First one comes from friend of the show, guest of the show, the world famous Taylor Blake Ward. He says, cracks his fingers, build an outfield of NASCAR drivers, including platoon option in right field. You guys don't have to answer this. I'm going to go straight for it because I did a little bit of research. I did.
I only know like 4 actual guys, so it wouldn't have gone well.
It's okay. I got one here. Carl Edwards is my left fielder. Mark Martin is my center fielder. Denny Hamlin is my right fielder, though I feel like Denny Hamlin should be my center fielder and Taylor.
That was actually one that I was going to say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Denny there. And then sneak peek here. Sneak peek. I think he's retired now, but maybe he's not. Jimmy Johnson as my platoon veteran outfielder there. Thought about putting Tony Stewart, but I don't think he counts anymore. So Taylor, keep him coming.
Chase Elliott count? You didn't
Chase
platoon him with someone?
No.
Okay.
That's fine. That's your platoon then in right field.
There you go. Taylor,
Chase
congratulations.
Elliott.
Another NASCAR question down.
All right. Love getting those questions from Taylor. Let's go ahead and get this rolling here. First question of the day. Let's not make these too long because we got a lot. I want to work through these here. First one comes from Griffin Canning, 2025, Cy Young. Want to throw this one out there first because I know you weren't looking at that one, Nate. He says, will I be good this year? I, as in Griffin Canning, on rehab tonight, so it'll be interesting to see what he does. Actually, how about simple yes, no for Griffin Canning? Actually, yes, no if we see him on the Major League roster this year, because I don't know if we see him.
Yes.
Start with, okay. All right, Nate, yes, straight for you. Brock, do we see him on the Major League roster this year?
Yes.
Okay. I agree with you guys on that. I think we see him at some point in some capacity. I'm always holding out hope for him as well. Former second round pick. The stuff is good. Just needs to learn how to be a pitcher and stay healthy as well. We've seen glimpses of him being really freaking good, and then there's been glimpses of him not as good. So I'll say maybe he'll be good. Maybe.
What a cop-out answer.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Next,
yes or no? He answers maybe.
Oh, he went the old Michael Scott from My Office fans.
Yeah.
He went yes.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Next question, and a front office question here. Didn't think I was going to go this route with it, Nate. I'll start with you. Grade John Carpino. And this
Ooh.
has to do with, we don't like speaking about it.
No, I know.
So Sam Blum getting kicked off the radio. We don't want to talk about it though, because it's not what we do. But John Carpino, president of the Angels.
It's hard not to give him a D, honestly.
Rephrase that.
It's hard not to give him a D plus.
There you go.
D plus. There you go.
D plus as well is kind of rough.
You know, but yeah, I don't know. Like, what does he do well? What does he do well? I really don't know. He's Artie's friend. He does whatever Artie says. That's great.
I think the good thing about John Carpino is 99% of the time he stays out of the media.
Okay.
We don't hear about him, right? Like, and that's kind of the point. That's kind of the whole thing of being an executive in the front office, is if you don't hear about somebody, it's probably a good thing, right? Like,
or you're getting not necessarily.
Well, I mean, you hear about an owner. What's the only thing you hear when it comes to owners in baseball? They don't spend enough. They don't do this. They don't do that. They don't worry about their minor leagues.
But you hear about the Mets owner, and that's all good stuff.
Depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah, he spends too much money. He wants to win too much, and
so Nate's giving John Carpino the D. You're welcome for that. Brock, yeah, so we're on a weird one right now. Not normal for this podcast for sure. Go ahead, Brock. What are you grading John Carpino right now?
I'll just go C.
C. That's
good. Not minus, not plus. Kind of indifferent. I like that he's kind of out of the media, like you said. Hopefully that's a good thing. But honestly, like, I feel like I don't really hear a lot about other teams' presidents either. Like, I think it's mainly just because the limelight or the negative or positive attention is mainly focused on the owners themselves, and like the rest of the front office, I don't want to say gets left out to dry, but I think people don't think about him as often. And sometimes I'm even like, oh yeah, John Carpino, like sometimes just because he's not out there in the media. Like, it's always Artie and Perry. Like, it's only ever them two. So C.
From a business standpoint, again, like we've liked what Artie has done business wise, creating what the Angels in a sense have kind of been. Business wise, I do like what John Carpino has done. To be honest, I don't mind John. You know, he's a baseball guy. He's been around for a long time. You can thank him for the Albert Pujols thing, which got the Angels actually a lot of money. So whatever you want to do and say about that, I have no issue with John. So I think he's a good guy in general, a good businessman, and just kind of does what he's supposed to do. So,
but he does block from getting a actual president of baseball ops.
Then kind of,
and that's why you hear D for me, because I'm going baseball ops direction, thinking that like he could block from a baseball ops standpoint, which would have given us a guy like
I look at John Carpino as being more of like the CEO of the Angels, making a lot of those executive
I'm
decisions.
Just saying title wise. That's why I
agree.
I'm upset with like not having someone in charge of Perry, and it just goes Artie Perry. I think there should be someone in between, but that's just me.
That's fine. No, I agree. I think we've said this a lot. Like, president of baseball ops, somebody like a Dombrowski or somebody like that.
Dombrowski, yeah,
Dombrowski, somebody like that.
Yeah, you do hear about Dave a lot.
Yeah, in good ways too. I mean, dude, look what he's done in Philly. So I would gladly take what the Phillies have done. So
absolutely.
I like that. Yeah. With that being said, not too many John Carpino questions. So I mean, I guess the fact that we're talking about him is a little bit interesting. So next question comes from Jay Cano, I believe. Yep. What positional talent do the Angels currently lack in the farm system? I'll just leave it at that. Nate, it looks like you have an answer. Go ahead. Positional.
Yeah, I still think it's catcher. I think that,
I was thinking that too.
I know Edgar Quero is a fan favorite right now. I know he's wanting to be in the top 100, but when you really look at catcher from the major league level all the way down to low A, it is question marks all over the place. It's a lot of guys that defensive first, not really going to be able to hit And then you got Kiro, who me and you have questions about. Can he catch? He should be able to hit, but can he catch at a major league level? So I think catcher is a big issue for the Angels. Obviously, Logan O'Hoppe has been huge in helping fill that hole, but it is a one-man. It's literally one guy. Matt Dice is not a catcher. We pay a lot of money for Stassi to be as poor of a hitter as he is, but not the worst backup in the world. But yeah, you look at some of the guys that you even like, and you'll even say like not really the most offensive. Really good defender, really good guy, but not the most offensive. And it's like you're talking about these guys as like a 70 WRC plus in the bigs, which is backup catcher material.
Yep, that's fine. Brock, totally understand. You don't know, you don't watch the minors a lot, so if you don't have an answer, that's fine.
I don't.
That's totally fine with me. I actually think it's starting pitching. As weird as that sounds, I don't think they have a lot of starting pitching depth. We talk a lot about these guys who are like the big arms. It's the 1 and 2 good pitches. A lot of these starting pitchers, I feel like, lack a really good third pitch, which is why personally, like, a lot of people don't have Mason Erla very high. I have Mason Erla high because he has 3 pitches. Same thing with Kai Bush. It's that 3-pitch mix that, you know, he can throw for strikes, and those guys gain a lot more attention for me rather than the reliever types. You know, you look at a guy like Chase Silseth, who has 2 pretty good out pitches but doesn't have a fastball. Needs to work on that. Sam Bachman, he's got the fastball and the 2 sliders. He needs another 3rd, maybe 4th pitch there technically to be good, as I'm going through my top prospect list here. Ben Joyce is a straight reliever. Caden Dana, we mentioned on our last podcast, very interesting. Jake Madden, who's starting tonight in Inland Empire, very interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what
I thought it was Griffin. Is Griffin high?
Tomorrow. Sorry.
Oh, tomorrow. Okay, sorry.
That was before. Sorry, Madden. Actually, Madden might come in after Canning tonight.
Okay, I was gonna say I thought I saw Griffin Canning was the starter tonight.
Madden was supposed to be the opening day starter, and then I mean, sorry to go down a little bit more here. Like Walbert Urena is a 1-2 pitch guy. It's fastball, changeup, slider in the works. You know, like a lot of these guys are reliever mold. I don't think they have a lot of for sure starters. It's a weird thing to say. I know they've developed a lot of good pitching lately, but I just don't. I think it's a lot of that bullpen, you know, type of guys. So it'll be really interesting to see this year, farm system wise, what they do. So
you can also always go off script too with like corner infielders, like,
yeah,
you know, like, but we're trying to stay up the middle, like the main prospect wise that you're really looking for, but you could always go first.
Those up the middle guys expand though. Like you get a center field,
absolutely,
more than likely play 3 positions.
Yeah, like Jeremiah Jackson could play third. All those
Jeremiah Jackson could play the outfield, exactly. Like we see the
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. So that's where I stand there. So good question, interesting question. Love talking about the farm. So always happy for that. Is Anthony Rendone's suspension over?
One more.
I don't think so.
One more.
They
game?
oned played
3 games
because they got reduced.
They played
to 4.
3
I think
against
they played
Seattle.
3.
He's got 1.
Can he get announced? And this is actually a question kind of a question. Can he get announced an opening day for the Angels or opening night?
I would assume yes.
Okay, I think he's got to be.
Yeah, I would think so.
I think he's got to be out of the dugout by first pitch, I think is what it is. I don't know. I'd have to look. I think it's out of the dugout by first pitch and can't be in the dugout at all. He can be in the clubhouse, I believe.
That's possible.
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know.
I think that's right, because I feel like I remember hearing something back in the not Angels players, but people that were suspended from a fight watching the game in the clubhouse. Like I feel like that's a pretty normal thing.
Yeah, from a game, but I like when a guy gets suspended.
No, like when you're suspended, you have to legit be out of the clubhouse by first pitch.
Even out of the clubhouse.
Yeah,
so he probably goes up into a booth or something like that. Probably still gets.
Yeah, so I don't think he's allowed to be. Now that you say that, I don't think he's allowed to be mentioned. But
interesting thing to think about.
It's fine.
I don't know if it's really ever happened before. It's kind of interesting.
Tatis?
Pretty early in the season, I'm sure it has, but early in the season. So
Tatis.
He wasn't. I don't know.
I'm just saying, like
he was down in AAA. I don't think he was traveling with the club because of all that. So,
but yes.
All right, we got one. Got a good one here. This might be a conversation here, Nate. I think this is the one that you wanted to talk about here. This comes from our boy D Ochoa. It's early, I know. However, who do you predict being available to help boost the Angels' rotation come July, if in contention? That's part one of the question. So, let's answer that first, and then we'll get on to the second part of the question. Who do we see? We just talked about it. I don't think the Angels have a lot rotation-wise to bring up. Guy like Kai Bush, maybe. Maybe if we see Sam Bachman starting to pitch late into games, Silseth, maybe, yes.
Canning, possible.
C-Rod, maybe, but I think you stick him in the
he's
bullpen.
a reliever.
I think you gotta if I think the Angels rotation is okay, can play. I think if that's the case, I think that you need to go out and make a trade for a starter, and that gets a lot more difficult. Though there are a lot of guys on 1 year, or that starting pitching crop next year is supposed to be pretty decent, if I'm not mistaken. Hitting not great, pitching good.
But the problem with those legit pitchers that are going to be free agents, they're on teams that are going to win ball games. Like you look at Julio Urias is going to be one of the top guys available. Corbin Burns, both those guys are supposed to be in the playoff race. I'm not saying the Brewers are going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be a team that thinks they have a shot come July or August, most likely.
Cincinnati, who's there? Pittsburgh, who's
not really. So I wrote down some names.
You actually came prepared.
I did. I'm sorry. Lucas Giolito, because who knows where the White Sox are going to be. It's the last year of his contract. He becomes an interesting guy. Jack Flaherty in that same mold. Like, we both think St. Louis is going to make the playoffs, but what happens if somebody gets hurt there? Jack could be throwing the ball well. He's a free agent at the end of the year. He's a possible. And then you go to the Red Sox. They got Sale and Kluber. Sale would be available. I don't think it would cost that much because he's going to cost a lot of money, but then that gets you over the luxury tax and things like that. And that probably takes you out of the Corbin Burns, Julio Urias, Jack Flaherty, all those type of guys sweepstakes in the offseason, especially if you get Shohei Ohtani. If you don't get Shohei Ohtani, it probably just replaces that number. So I don't know there.
Can I just sign Shohei Ohtani, the pitcher? Let the hitter walk?
Sure.
Okay.
This isn't Yahoo Fantasy Baseball, but okay.
Yeah.
Corbin Burns, obviously, if the Brewers aren't in it, Corbin Burns is a possibility. And then you're looking at Trevor Rogers. You're probably going to have a couple Marlins that their names are going to be thrown around because the Marlins still would like some offense. Maybe Herman Marquez. I think the window is closed on him. I think you waited too long. I wanted him 2 years ago when the contract was still good. Now it's like last year of his deal. There's really no point. And then maybe an Alex Wood, Alex Cobb, giant type of arm, Sean Manaea. I don't think those guys move the needle for me. I think really, and you have Zach Greinke who's going to be available too because Kansas City's probably going to beat it. But I really think Giolito, Flaherty, Sale are the three that could be available that would make a major difference for the Angels.
Brock, of that list, you got anybody that stands out to you?
What's funny is that it's funny you mentioned Greinke at the end because for some reason in my head that was like one of the first ones that popped up of like the Angels would trade for him this year. Not that I would want it, but for some reason that would just popped up in my head. So you said Giolito, Sale, and Flaherty were the three you said?
Up the front, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those three for sure would be most impactful. I mean, that list is so long on the other end of who could potentially be available, Corbin Burns would be pretty sweet, but like I'm almost in a way of like I don't know what the second part of this question is. This might be part of the second part, but
who would you give up for somebody like that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's not what I was gonna say. I was thinking he isn't a starter, but who popped up in my head was David Bednar, is who popped up in my head. He's on Pittsburgh. They're not going to be in contention, and based off, I mean, obviously, it's always so hard right now because it's such a small sample size, but. Dude, I'm liking the pitching right now.
Yeah, early in the season, it's almost like let's see who is available in the bullpen.
Yep.
Right.
That's where the Angels have internal options too. So it's like I don't know. You don't know who's going to be available starting pitching wise. By the way, I don't know if the Angels have enough to get Corbin Burns, to be honest. Like,
well,
and
at
he's
that
so
point,
good that
at that point, if you're trying to trade for Corbin Burns in July or August, you just say let's try and sign him in the offseason if we
Well,
miss out on Ohtani.
If they're
There's
trying,
there's
I-
no point to try and go get him unless you're going to be able to get him on like a decently cheap trade deal, which the Brewers aren't going to do.
well, what if the Angels are up by 10 games in the West and you want to just solidify that rotation and say, hey, Shohei, you know, we want to win a World Series this year, whether you're with us or not in the future, there's a chance to win the World Series. Shohei Ohtani, Corbin Burns, Patrick Sandoval, Reed Detmers, and Tyler Anderson is that fifth guy. That's kind of fun, you know. Like
Yeah,
I don't think they're there. I don't think they're there, obviously.
But do the Angels really have what the Brewers want? The Brewers are pretty loaded in the outfield. They've got a bunch of young outfielders, which is, which is the position the Angels would be able to give up. You've mentioned it already. They don't have a lot of starting pitching depth. It's a lot of bullpen pieces. So it would really depend on what the Brewers do. The Brewers think Sam Bachman is Josh Hader, or do they think he's, Corbin Burns 2.0 or Brandon Woodruff? Those are the questions that would have to get answered. And
I don't know.
I don't know. I
you
think
don't know what the Brewers like or don't like.
No, it becomes way too hard of a question, especially thinking
it's impossible to predict trades like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know. I'm with you. I don't know starting pitching wise. I think bullpen makes more sense in July if the Angels are in it. I think the pitching they're okay there. Yeah, unless you get an injury or two late, like in that July area. But I think you kind of ride with this starting pitching and say, hey, like Chase Silseth, if we need you, some spot starts from a guy like Chris Rodriguez, or like I said, Sam Bachman is a guy there too. Not great options, I don't think. But if it came down to it, you can pull it off, or just throw a 5-man rotation out there. I mean, you might not even need that 6 starter. So,
and honestly, thinking about it too, like if the Angels are needing a starting pitcher, they're probably not in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple different things you can think of. Like you need that fifth, like Jose Suarez pitches to a 6 ERA. You're
probably not winning games when he starts, and you're probably not winning games when the 6th guy starts. So that's what I'm saying. You're losing.
Maybe you're kind of turning -8 for me here. So
I'm just saying, like
we're early.
Starting pitching is really hard to trade for if the pitching pitches to what they're supposed to. The bullpen is where the real issues are going to come up, and
we saw it last year. Bullpen wins World Series. We're over this conversation.
Closer.
Bullpen wins World Series.
Yeah, Ryan Presley, the closer. Thank you.
Next question. Easy one, quick one. Which prospect do you think will get called up first and when? Brock, I'll start with you. Just pick your favorite prospect on Rocket City. It doesn't have to be, I guess.
AAA.
Not very many prospects there, though.
2.5.
You think Adams gets called up first?
Well, I was thinking Adele still technically counts as a prospect in some people's eyes. You have Adams.
Does Joyce still count as a prospect?
Yes, Joyce is.
Yes. Let's not. Yeah, I would say Joyce. Okay. I think Joyce is going to be first.
I would probably agree with you there
as
well. I think just straight across the board, I agree with you on that. Trying to think any way that anybody else gets called up, and I don't see it.
Plus, I feel like it's hard. Like right now that we're basing that off of need and off of performance. The other ones I feel like are going to be mainly based off of potential injuries.
But I mean, somebody gets hurt. If somebody gets hurt in the infield, it's probably Levon Soto, right? And technically, I guess that would be your first prospect you bring up. Technically, maybe you bring up Velasquez, but I think is Velasquez still on the 40-man? Yeah, he is. So let's go Joyce. I'm in full agreement.
Yeah, Joyce is the answer.
Joyce makes sense to me. Could be pitching right now for all I know. Speaking of Ben Joyce, I'm not going to ask that question. Sorry, Anthony, if you're listening to this, it's the same question. Basically, a Ben Joyce there question. Fun question here. Understanding that it's only one start, how long before Tucker Davidson replaces Jose Suarez as the 5th starter? Nate, I'm going to make you wait there because I know you love both those starting pitchers so much. Jose Medina, thanks for the question. Brock, what do you got?
Based on what I've seen from both, I still think the upside on Jose Suarez is better than Davidson. So I think it's going to take a lot for them to pull the trigger and replace Gordito for Tucker. But I feel like it's so hard to answer these. Like it's one start. it's hard to tell. Corbin Burns has looked horrible in 2 games. Like he has like a +9 ERA in 2 starts. So it's like we're giving Jose Suarez, who's not even close to the caliber of level of Corbin Burns, a hard time for one bad start against a good team, might I add. So Seattle's got a good lineup for sure. Now he has a horrible start against Oakland, a little bit of a different discussion. But even then, it's like, well, would Tucker had performed any better against Seattle? Seattle's got a good lineup.
Yeah, we didn't see Davidson out of the bullpen, I don't think, in the Seattle series, which probably a good thing. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest there. Probably indifferent there. Nate, before I get to you, because I know you want to talk about this so much.
Oh yes, this is one that I'm super excited about.
Is your favorite one? We're gonna have to make a shirt that says no to Jose Suarez or something like that. Probably not. I'm indifferent here. I think Suarez pitches fine. I think, he's made the necessary changes. I think that that harder slider is really interesting. Throwing the slider about 3 miles an hour harder. I think it's going to make a big difference. The changeup is really good. That's the third pitch that he's been missing, and he actually needs to start throwing that changeup a little bit more. I know Perry and staff get a little slider happy, but his changeup was his out pitch in the minors. Every time every start that I would watch from him, it was the changeup. So, he needs to get back to that, and also add in the slider. I think if he goes more that 33, 33, 33, with all those pitches, and kind of, even maybe stays away a little bit more from the fastball, works slider change up a little bit more, I think that helps him out down the road. So one start, don't panic, but it'll be interesting. Nate, go ahead, take it away, big guy.
Press the panic button now on Suarez. No, seriously, I'm not a big fan of either of the guys, so I'm not exactly thrilled with either option.
I know.
I don't think Davidson brings anything that Jose Suarez doesn't. I think this is the area where you would need a starting pitcher if Suarez can't figure out and Davidson isn't the guy. This is, where you would need to go get a starting pitcher. But yeah, I don't see Davidson taking over for Suarez. I could see both of them not pitching good and seeing Silseth or Cannon get the nod. That's where I would go. I wouldn't go Davidson.
With the way you were explaining, I was like, I could see Canning
or Silseth being the guy, depending on how Silseth does in AAA. So, yeah, I'm not big on either of these guys. I think that, there's a lot of these type of pitchers out there, but,
Is that it? That's all you got?
Yeah, that's it. I'm
super proud of you. So we'll leave the last question for the end. That'll probably be our starting question on the next one. So we'll kind of see how that goes, guys. So as always, Nate, you got something to say? It looks like
no.
You good?
I didn't. I did look, and Ben Joyce did. He is not in the game yet.
Thank goodness. I had to get there. So we'll see if he's the 9th inning guy this year.
Urla threw the ball well, though. Good to see.
9 Ks for Urla. So, guys, as always, thank you so much for listening to this podcast here, Talking Halos. Go ahead and subscribe wherever you are listening. Again, don't forget to shoot me a message on Twitter if you know anybody that wants to write or want to write for TalkingHalos.com. More than happy to get your guys' name out there for you guys. And with all that being said, go ahead and follow myself on Twitter, Jared_Tims, Brock at BDROX8, and Nate at NateGreen34. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.